Welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. NCAA Week 13. In Week 12, I was 21-1 win-loss, 12-8 against the spread, and 13-7 on the over-under. Year-to-date, 146-52 on the win-loss, 90-105 on against the spread, 101-94 on the over-under. Alright, Week 13. We have the winner of this game plays Memphis for the American Conference Championship. South Florida Bulls 9-1 versus the 15th ranked University of Central Florida Knights 10-0. UFC is favored by, or UCF is favored by 11. I have South Florida covering, UCF winning, and under on the 63.5. Next, we have the East Carolina Pirates, 3-8, versus the 21st ranked Memphis Tigers, 9-1, already locked into the American Conference Championship game. They're favored by 27.5. I have them winning, covering it under on 79. Next, we have the third ranked Miami Hurricanes at 10-0 versus the Pittsburgh Panthers at 4-7. Miami will play for the ACC Championship game next week. They're favored by 14 on the road. I have them winning, covering it over on the 51. Miami will play Clemson next week. The second-ranked Clemson Tigers at 10-1 versus South Carolina Gamecocks at 8-3. Clemson is favored by 14. I have South Carolina covering the 14, Clemson winning, and over on the 46.5. Now, obviously, if Clemson loses next week to Miami, they're guaranteed out of the playoff 4 with 2 losses. Now, if Miami loses, is there a possibility of 2 ACC teams getting in? I highly doubt it unless a lot of dominoes fall between now and then. But the winner of that more than likely will move on to the Championship 4. Next, we have the 9th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at 9-2. They'll play Wisconsin next week versus the 24th ranked Michigan Wolverines at 8-3. Ohio State is favored by 11. I have Michigan covering 11 and over on the 50.5. Ohio State will play the 5th ranked Wisconsin Badgers next week for the Big Ten Championship. Wisconsin's 11-0. They play the Golden Gophers this week. They're 5-6. Wisconsin's favored by 17. I have the winning, covering over on the 43. Next, we have the 4th ranked Oklahoma Sooners at 10-1, playing for the Big 12 Championship game next week versus the West Virginia Mountaineers at 7-4. The Sooners are favored by 23. I have West Virginia covering the 23 and under on the 68.5. I don't think Baker Mayfield will play. There's no reason for him to play in this game. You save players like that for next week. That's why I have West Virginia covering. Next, we have the Baylor Bears at 1-10 versus the 12th ranked TCU Horned Frogs at 9-2. There's a battle between 3 teams with 2 losses in the 2-loss team TCU, and there's 2 3-loss teams in the Big 12 kind of battling for who's going to face Oklahoma State. TCU's favored by 24 at home. I got them winning, covering it over on the 51. The Kansas Jayhawks at 1-10 versus the 13th ranked Oklahoma Sooners at 8-3. Oklahoma State Cowboys, excuse me. Kansas Jayhawks versus the Oklahoma State Cowboys at 8-3. Oklahoma State's favored by 40 at home. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 70. Next would be Iowa State Cyclones at 7-4 versus the Kansas State Wildcats at 6-5. Kansas favored by 3 points at home. The line is Kansas by 3. I'm giving the 3 points to Iowa State on the road, and then winning, covering it over on the 49.5. Next we have the Texas Mean Green at 8-3 versus the Rice Owls at 1-2. North Texas will play Florida Atlantic in the Conference USA title game next week. North Texas is favored by 13.5. I got them winning, covering it under on the 63.5. Next we have the Florida Atlantic Owls 8-3 versus the Charlotte 49ers at 1-10. Florida Atlantic's favored by 21.5. I got them winning, covering it under on the 64. Next we have the Ohio Bobcats at 8-3 versus the Buffalo Bills at 5-6. Bulls. It's the Buffalo Bulls, I believe is what it is. I think it's the Buffalo Bills. That's an NFL team. Ohio is favored by 3.5. I got them winning, covering it under on the 61.5. Next, we have the Kent State Golden Flashes 2-9 versus the AKRON Zips at 6-5. AKRON is 5-2 in the MAC. They are favored by 15. And I have them winning, covering and over on the 45.5. The winner of those two games, Ohio State and Akron, will play the winner of. I messed up. I had something wrong with the MAC. I know those two teams both have 1 loss in one division. These other two teams have 1 loss in the other division. I didn't get all the scenarios written down. Western Michigan, Buffalo is at 6 and Broncos. Excuse me. Wow, I'm really messing this one up today. Western Michigan Broncos at 6-5 versus Toledo Rockets at 9-2. Toledo favored by 14.5. I got them winning, covering and over in the 61.5. Next, we have the North Illinois Huskies at 8-3 versus the Central Michigan Chippewas at 7-4. North Illinois favored by 3. I had them winning, covering and over on the 53.5. For the Mountain West, we had the 25th ranked Boise State Broncos at 9-2 versus the Fresno State Bulldogs at 8-3. These two teams play for the Mountain West championship game next week. Back-to-back weeks, Boise State Broncos and Fresno State Bulldogs. Boise State favored by 7, and then winning, covering, and over on the 48.5. Next, we have the 14th ranked Washington State Cougars at 9-2 versus the 18th ranked Washington Huskies at 9-2. Washington Huskies favored by 9. I have them winning. I have the Cougars covering and over on the 48.5. Next, we have the 8th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 9-2 versus the 22nd ranked Stanford Cardinal at 8-3. Notre Dame had won 8 of 9. They're favored by 2.5. I got them winning, covering and over on the 57. Next, I have the 7th ranked Georgia Bulldogs, 10-1, who will play the winner of Auburn and Alabama. They'll play the winner of the Iron Bowl for the SEC Championship. They play Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who are 5-5. Georgia's favored by 11. I think Georgia rested a lot of their starters, so I have Georgia Tech cover the 11 and under on the 52. And finally, the 2017 Iron Bowl, the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, at 11-0, versus the 6th ranked Auburn Tigers at 9-2. There's been 81 games in the Iron Bowl. Alabama's 45, 35-1. In the 25 years, there's been an SEC title game. 8 of the last 10 years of the SEC title game, the winner of the West has been either Auburn or Alabama. They've dominated the division. Alabama's won 3 straight against Auburn. I don't know why I'm doing this. Alabama's favored by 4.5. I'm giving the 4.5 to Auburn. Auburn's going to have Auburn beating Alabama, covering the 4.5. Alabama Auburn winning. I give them the 4.5. I have Alabama covering the 4.5. So I think it's going to be a field goal game. Taking over on the 47.5. So you have Auburn versus Georgia next week in the SEC title game. Alabama will still make the Final Four. Just I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but hey, I like doing that. You know, y'all know that. I like picking that one game, going, yeah, well, just the opposite here. All right, that will wrap up the NCAA Week 13. As always, thanks for watching our sports show. Just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Our sports show, your YouTube leader, sports channel content.